thank you for being here today. I know there are other places you could be. I want to ask you a couple of questions about the way the SBA interacts with community development block grants. Let's suppose I flood. It's not relevant for my example whether I have flood insurance, so let's just assume I don't for a moment. I flood. I apply for an SBA loan, and I'm approved, but I don't take the loan. And later, I become eligible for, let's say, $50,000 of relief through a block grant, a grant. If I don't take the loan, even though I'm qualified, can I still receive that $50,000?
Thank you, Senator. One of the communication pieces that we've been dealing with, especially in the state of Louisiana after the storms that occurred last August.
Before you explain it, though, get me in the ballpark. Is that a yes or a no?
So it's not. So we all have our statutory requirements.
I was afraid of that.
Well, no, let me, if I can spend a minute.
Okay.
Only take a minute, I promise.
All right.
We all have duplication of benefits requirements.
Sure.
You know, the Small Business Act has requirements. The Stafford Act that FEMA requires, and HUD also has requirements. And we all have eligibility based on whatever our requirements are, whether it's FEMA, SBA, or HUD. And we agree that the rules probably need to be a little bit clearer. So we're engaging currently with with HUD on how to better communicate the delivery of assistance.
And I appreciate that, but we've got people facing that issue right now. So let me try again. I'm flooded. I apply for a SBA loan. I'm approved, but I don't take the loan. And then along comes a block grant program, and I'm qualified for $50,000 in block grants. If I haven't taken the money, even though I've been approved, can I get the $50,000 today?
So,
Not tomorrow,
okay.
not 6 months from now, not after studying the problem, today.
So, Senator, we had a lot of help back in 2010, 2011, post-Katrina, from the General Accountability Office and the Inspector General. There's some level of different perspectives as far as back in Katrina, we were allowed to pay down SBA
But Mr.
loans.
Rivera, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I try to stay to my time. What's the answer for the day? It's either a yes or a no.
So this is really a HUD answer, not an SBA
Well, they say
answer?
it's an SBA answer.
I really appreciate HUD giving us the opportunity. We were first in the sequence. HUD needs to make the decision since they're behind us. It's a delivery of
HUD
sequence.
says it's SBA. Trust me.
Well,
Shout's honor.
we should have a conversation with HUD and continue this discussion with all due respect.
All right, let's
Senator.
suppose that I flood and I apply for an SBA loan and I am approved and I take the loan. And later on, I qualify and receive $50,000 from a block grant. Let's suppose my SBA loan was $50,000. Can I take that block grant and pay off the SBA loan?
Well, in theory, you won't get that opportunity for that HUD block grant because you have no unmet needs. If you have $50,000 in damage and SBA has provided you
Suppose I have
$50,000.
$200,000 of damage, but I can only pay back $50,000,
So
which is why I took $50,000.
Absolutely. Every program has its eligibilities.
So let me be sure I understand. You're saying, yes, I can take block grant money and use it to pay off an SBA loan.
No, not to pay off an SBA loan. There'll be additional eligibility. Let
me start over, Mr. Rivera.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be curt, but I need a straight answer because I got to explain this to my people. And folks in Florida have got to know, and folks in Texas have got to know, and folks in Puerto Rico have got to know. If I take an SBA loan, I borrow the money, can I use block grant money that I receive later to pay off the SBA loan, yes or no?
you shouldn't be receiving HUD assistance to pay down an SBA loan.
Trust me, if I do, can I?
You should not be receiving, based on the formula that's written, It's FEMA's first, SBA second, and if there's any unmet needs, sure, if there's additional
Okay,
assistance.
can I have just one more minute, Mr. Chairman? Let's suppose then that I had $100,000 worth of, $200,000 worth of damage,
Okay,
okay? So I took an SBA loan because I pay my debts.
okay,
I'd like to borrow $200,000, but I can't pay you back. And I don't want to welch on the loan to the American taxpayer. So I only borrow $50,000 in an SBA loan. And then I get a $50,000 grant. So I have an unmet need. I've still got $50,000 in fact of unmet needs. Can I take that $50,000 and pay off the SBA loan?
not to pay off the SBA loan, but you have an additional need of $50,000. So the $100,000 in coverage is what would be used towards that $200,000.
Mr. Rivera, how can I explain this to somebody who just lost their home? I mean, I'm not fussing. I think y'all do an extraordinary job, but y'all got to get with FEMA and HUD and get this straight.
So if I can have 30 seconds with you.
Absolutely, you can have all the time you want, as
let-
long as it's okay with the chairman.
So let's talk about Louisiana for a minute, right?
Okay.
We did $1.2 billion last year.
And I'm grateful for every penny.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So of the $1.2 billion, there's about 5 to 6% between HUD standard, being low moderate income, SBA standard. There's two different standards we're using here. About 4% were duplicative between what we're talking about, a duplication of benefits. So the real challenge you have here is everybody assumes that HUD's going to give everybody a grant. That's not the case. It's the low moderate income difference between what we make a loan at based on a score and what HUD provides. So there's about 5% overlap. We'd be glad to have a discussion with
And
you
I
and
understand
HUD.
that, but here's
Senator
what,
Kennedy, your time's up.
I'm
to
sorry.
begin with, but that's all right. First of all, you have a legitimate inquiry, and it's not unusual when you're dealing with different agencies to wind up with these kinds of conditions. And so I fully support your pursuing this. I think it would be more appropriate if you could get people from all the agencies together, perhaps in a private setting, to go over that and see if you can't get an
and I
answer. Because
appreciate that,
you're
Mr.
entitled to an answer, and I think it.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the advice, but I have. And one agency says it's the other agency, and the other agency says it's this agency. And my people need answers, and that's why I use my.
Undoubtedly, they need answers, and I think the best way to do that probably is to resolve it either statutorily or hopefully regulatorily by someone who has authority over the different agencies. Somebody has authority to be able to resolve this, and any way we can help, I'd be happy to.
I'll be calling on you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Rivera, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Senator Duckworth.